This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, I'm going to try to show the session synchronization function between a cluster that's running a different version than the third node or the other cluster. So here's the setup. We have an FGCP cluster here on the left. I've got a single FortiGate in the backup data center on the right. We have FGSP configured to synchronize sessions. This is my layer 2 or layer 3 connection between the two sites. And we have session synchronization configured. Now, let me just erase. The perimeter cluster is running a different version than the backup data center FortiGate. So let's just go here and show you that. So this one here is 645. And this is 644. So this one here, 645, which is the left side, which is the FGCP cluster. And this is 644, okay? So that's our setup right now. We have FGSP configured. So we go to cluster sync, and we can show you there, same thing here. Alrighty, so that's all set up. And for the purposes of the remaining lab, I'm going to clear all my sessions. So I'm getting rid of all my sessions on this cluster, and obviously I lost my connection. So I'll just restart that session. You can see that I've got very little sessions here. Same thing I have to do here. So I got to clear my filter. And then I can clear, and then I will reconnect. So this is the backup FortiGate. Okay. And you can see already that there's a difference. So let's prove that sessions are not getting synchronized. And then the purpose of this video is to show how we enable standalone cluster sync, which forces the session synchronization to be done in the kernel. And then it produces some very favorable results. So let's identify the problem first, which is sessions are not syncing from the FGCP side here to the right side. So let's identify that. So let's use, in this example, I am going to set up a bunch of transactions and sessions between FortiTester. So it's going to initially go through this route. And then what we're going to do is we are going to check the session table on this side first, and then we're going to check the session table to verify that sessions are not getting synced over. Okay, so let me just do that. So here we go. So what I like to do is create a duration of about 5 seconds for my filter. So when I do a diaxis session list, it tells me how many sessions are 5 seconds long. And I'll do the same on this side. So right now, we shouldn't have anything. So I'm going to initiate some traffic. And we can see 0 here and 0 there. So let's go into my buddy FortiTester, and we're just going to run what this particular test is a mix of traffic. We've got some BitTorrent, FTP, HTTPS throughput, and TCP throughput tests. So I'm just going to start this test. And when it starts, let's watch the session tables. On these FortiGates. So we're going to check the FGCP cluster, and we'll check this third node over here. So it's running. Let's go check our sessions. Here we can see I've got already 53 sessions that are 5 seconds long, and I am not seeing anything on this side. So it's always changing. There's always various sessions. FortiTester is creating new sessions and tearing down new sessions continuously. That's why I like to use it for this kind of test. And we're not seeing anything come over to this side. Oh, we did get some. 3. And what were they? Oh, these are just some basic loopback tests that will pop up. So this is totally valid. These are not the sessions that are coming from this side, if you see over here. So this was just a loopback communication, it looks like. So we can ignore those. And we can keep looking at this. And if I do a get sys session, spell it right, status 877. These are total sessions between the two boxes. So obviously you can see that these sessions are not syncing over. Okay. What I want to do is clear this table and clear this one again, and we're going to configure standalone cluster sync and then redo the test. So this is going, but I want to clear the session table, so I'm just going to stop it for now. So I just wanted to verify sessions were not getting transmitted over, and I continue to show you, right? It's still 0. And over here, good. So it stopped. Sessions aren't going anymore. I don't need no history diagram to be set up. And I will rerun this test once I've configured standalone sync. So first thing I want to do is clear my sessions again. So we're going to do a diagsys session filter clear, and then I'm able to do a diagsys session clear. I lose that. Okay, let's go do it over here. Diagsys session filter clear. Diagsys session clear. And so all the sessions get dropped. And we restart and log in. All right, so this session, there's 11. Beautiful. So these are really low sessions, just internal stuff that's going on. You know, some various traffic that it's seeing and so forth. So there's not much going on right now. Okay, so 16 there and 8 there. Alrighty. So let's go and configure standalone sync. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my script. So I'm just going to edit this. So on the FGCP cluster side, so if I go to here, I'm going to configure this first, and then I'm going to configure this side. The manual says to disable your FGSP sync connections while you do this, but I'm just going to skip that step just for the sake of time. But in theory, in production, you should disable all these ports that are used for session sync before you configure session standalone sync. So all it is on my FGCP side, here's the commands. I'm setting a group ID of 1. This group member ID by default is 0. I've configured mine to 0 for the left side. And the set session sync dev command, and I'm setting it to port 6. This is the major command, I guess, that enables the kernel to do the session synchronization. So that's all you need to do. And on the other side, on this side, I'm going to do basically the exact same thing, except my member ID has to be different. So I'm creating it as member ID 1 on the other side. Okay, so let's go run this. So I'm going to go and run this little script that I have. And we'll let that run. And then I'm going to go do the same thing on the backup. So on the backup side, there is my enable of that. I'm going to show you. Again, this was the difference, just the one. So let's just go and run this one as well. And yes. So it looks like the original one for the FGCP side finished. So let's go take a look. And there it is, right? Those commands are put in. So I can end there. And what's the status of this one? That's 100% as well. So we should be able to take a look here. And there we go. Group ID is 1. Doesn't show up here because 0 is default for the member ID. Okay. So we'll just get out of here. Now let's go set up our filters. Diaxis session filter duration of 5 seconds. Diaxis session list. Of 5 seconds. Alrighty. So we're ready to test this new config of the standalone cluster commands to see if it improves our capability of having sessions synchronized between one side that's running 644 and the other side running 645, or this is 645 and this is 644. Just mismatch. And when you run into certain unsupported situations where firmware is mismatching in an FGSP synchronization situation, this is a way, I think, to get around it. Again, it's only FGSP session synchronization is supported when both sides are the same firmware levels. So let's go now back to FortiTester. Let's rerun this test. And once it starts, we can check our session tables. So it's starting. So if we wait 5 seconds, we should see something show up here. So I've got 44 sessions there. Now, look at that. It's already starting. So that's good. And we can see now sessions are starting. This is the IP addresses related to my FortiTester. And we will have certain sessions will pop in and out for 5 seconds. So I'm just filtering for that. So already you can see that, yeah, we're getting sessions come through. So let's look at the total amount of sessions. So get sys session status 376 and 725. So what does this tell us? That it's not doing all the sessions, but it's giving us a good portion of it, and I think it'll catch up. We have to give it some time. So already we're up to 500. Yeah, so this makes a huge difference if you ever need to provide a workaround for the amount of active sessions to get synchronized. So, and you can see that this side here has a big difference between the primary side and the backup side, but at least it gives you a good starting point for when you need to fail over traffic from one side to the other. A lot of the sessions will not be affected. And again, this could be related to the amount of memory in my VM and so forth. So there's a lot of factors, and CPU that is a factor here. But you can see that they're getting close. And yeah, so I can try to fail over the traffic. So let's go and change my VRRP priority. So all this script is doing is changing the priority of the FGCP cluster to be lower than this side. Therefore, this will be the VRRP master. So if I do get router info VRRP, this is now the master. And this is the backup. 1,300 sessions. And we're up to 1,000 sessions here. Let's see what our list looks like for there. Now, the question is, are sessions getting synchronized? Now that the traffic is traversing this way, okay, because of the VRRP change that I did, is the traffic now being synchronized back to the FGCP cluster side? Now the sessions are active through here. So that's what we want to look at. We just did, but I'll just show you again. So what I did here is, because I have the filter set for 5-second duration of sessions, I've got some sessions that obviously are coming from this side over to here because they're only 5 seconds in duration. And the same thing here. So you can see that when I have a 644 and a 645 mismatch in firmware and FGSP, it seems to be a one-way synchronization issue. It'll work from 644 to 645, but not vice versa. So get sys status here. So from 644 to 645, session synchronize. And because we have standalone cluster sync, I can't show you that, but it's synchronizing both ways. So let's go back, change our traffic back to the other way. And if we wait for this to change, 75% should be close enough. Let's just see what we got. This is in backup mode now. And this is the master. If I look at here, 16 sessions, 5 seconds old. And this is still synchronizing sessions. So we have our filter set to that. And we're still getting active sessions being synchronized over. So this standalone cluster config seems to work really well. And that's all I wanted to show. Thank you.